Cheers and welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yes, this is the Pinter Extreme Review. That's right, Extreme. Why am I calling it the Extreme Review? Because there are so many Pinter videos out there that say review, and they're not reviews. I'm sorry, the vast majority, if I had to guess, 80% were not really reviews. They were what it's like to brew your first batch on the Pinter. That's what it really was. It wasn't a review of the Pinter. And they did give you some of their opinions, and I'm going to say probably 98%, if not 99, were very positive, but they were not deep diving reviews of the Pinter. They were, hey, this is what it's like to brew your first batch. I did that, been there, done that. And I did reviews on each kit I brewed, both during the brew and the taste test. 2 separate videos for each one. I always make sure you get to see what it was like after the fact, but it is 2 different videos. I am going to leave a playlist if you want to go check it out now. Otherwise, get to the end of the video and I will make sure to leave the playlist, I think down here instead of over there. And you can check that out and you can see everything you want, skip around, whatever you want to do. I did do a video that's in that playlist called Questions Answered About the Pinter, and that went pretty deep. That actually went pretty deep. So, really quick, what are we covering in this extreme review? And don't forget, yeah, thank you, appreciate it. Who's the Pinter for? I got a short list on that. Who should be buying the Pinter? Yes, I will leave a link below. No, it's not technically an affiliate link. It will eventually get me more kits to do more reviews on those kits and show you what they're like. Size and dimensions. I'm gonna give you all the sizes, dimensions with any and everything attached. That way you know if it'll fit in your fridge or wherever you're gonna be putting it. Weight, total weight with and without liquid. I'm gonna give you volume. How much can you expect to get out of this thing? Concerns I have if you're looking to buy a Pinter. And issues I found. Yes, I have a few issues with the baby doll, so sorry. Nothing's perfect, got a few issues. Kits, I'm gonna mention something about the kits, especially the ones that I brewed, because I know something about the ones I brewed. Questions about the Pinter. Yes, that is a separate video, but I have a little statement in here that I feel is applicable to the extreme review. And can you brew your own beers on this system? Could you move this beer to a standard keg? And I'm going to give you a hint. That answer is going to be yes, but I'll have to kind of go into that. And has it been done? I don't know. I don't know if anybody's done that without getting, O2 involved. That's the key. So closed transfer. So let's jump right into this right away and go into this. Oh, and we're going to also mention the app. The app is, we're going to talk about the app. So first, this is the Pinter. Okay, what is the Pinter? It is a home ferment and serve, or a beer brewing system. You're not actually going to do the boil or the mash. You're skipping those phases. So when you're doing beer, you have a mash, boil, fermentation, and serving. We're skipping half of that. We're just going straight into ferment and serve. So look, and I love that exclamation point look. I just think that's the coolest thing. Who's the Pinter for? That's probably the best question right up front. I have a few people or a few groups of people that I would recommend the Pinter for. First, somebody who has never brewed, not sure if they want to brew, and they just kind of want to, have fun without really learning anything about beer brewing, and they're kind of putting their toes in the shallow end. In that same token, new to brewing. They're very interested, they want to take it slow, and again, they just want to put their toes in the shallow end, and they're all looking for small batch, because just assume this is about 1.5 gallons of beer. Just assume 1.5, nice round number, you're all good, or about 6 liters. So who else should be looking in this? Well, I got a lot of feedback from people who really didn't care if they learned about beer brewing or not, but they were looking to have something to do, to spend more time with friends, family members, relatives, and just hanging out, which is great because you got 2 chances there. You got the brewing experience, and then you get to drink it later, maybe a week, 2 weeks later. And the cost, come on. You're talking, normally it's around $100. And I have a code down below. I know that's still good as of right now. And it's $50 with 2 kits. So, you buy this, you get 2 kits, you're probably gonna be, that's 3 gallons of beer pretty much. That's a break even right there, even if you never use it again. You never use it again. Now, you could always fill it with ice water and dispense ice water all day long. You could put other things in it, dispense it all day. So it's really not a loss. If you ever decide to go back, you can buy more kits, you can make your own beer, whatever you want to do. Not a loss. But $50, I personally think it's probably a very cheap form of fun that I enjoy a lot, especially since I like beer, ciders, seltzers. Size. Let's go into size. Okay, this thing is exactly, and I'm sorry, imperial, but 14 inches long, 9.5 inches high, 9 inches wide. Now, what happens if I put the base on it and I connect it? It's 17 3/4 long, technically, or tall, based on if you're standing it up. That's something to be aware of if you want to put it in your fridge, because there is a recommendation that you could let it sit in your fridge for a day like that and let the trub really pull and pack down and keep the liquid, kind of get you more fresh beer and less trub. It's just a really good way of kind of clarifying the beer a little bit. Now, if you happen to have the hopper still on it, like I had, where I had an issue and it didn't just suck it right in, I left it on there and I put it in the fridge. That's going to add another 2 inches. So you're going to be at 19 3/4 tall max. That's max. Your width and your height are always going to be the same. How much does it weigh? Okay, well, this thing is 1.5 pounds. This is 6 pounds. Yeah, 6 pounds. Now with that is 7.5 pounds. Okay, now if you add the liquid to this, with the kit, all the water, it's about 21.5 pounds plus or minus. The reason I say approximately, or your mileage may vary, is because these kits that come with it, sometimes a higher ABV is going to be a little heavier, have a little bit more to it liquid-wise. Well, something that's a little lower ABV is going to have a little less weight, and that's where your weight's going to vary a little bit. Just something to be aware of. Volume. This is probably the number one question I hear about all the time. How much beer? How much beer? How much beer? Okay, I did this in the video where I talked about details and bits of information that you may want to know. So volume is 188 ounces of water. That's not the kit. Now, each kit, like I said, weighs different, so your volume may vary slightly. Don't know by how much, but it will vary. But if you add a kit, I'm gonna say the kit's gonna bump you up to around 216 ounces, plus or minus, based on the ABV and how much is in the kit. Now, you're gonna lose about 20 ounces, plus or minus, on the trub. That's gonna leave you with 196 ounces of drinkable, or about 1.5 gallons and 4 ounces, if you're being really specific, of beer. That's why I said just guesstimate 1.5 gallons of beer, okay? Concerns. These are things that I don't really worry so much compared to the issues that I found. That's another section here we're gonna go into. But really, I have two things that you really need to be aware of. One, cleaning. If you are not somebody who, I won't say enjoys it, because I don't know how many people really enjoy cleaning, but if you're not good at it, or you're not detail oriented, you either need help from, I'm not saying you need help, I need help, but I'm saying you may need help cleaning this, or you may not want to go down this road. I'm just saying. Now, if you finish it, I will tell you a little secret. If you're not going to clean it, don't open it. Leave it sealed until you're ready to clean it. Hopefully that's only a couple days away, but leave it sealed, because that moisture will keep it from getting gunky and hard or anything like that. But if you've seen some of my videos on the cleaning, you know I have a few concerns on the cleaning. One, as soon as you take this off, without question, rinse the hell out of it. You don't have to clean it as far as with any kind of disinfectants, things like that. But literally, rinse it really good, because you're never gonna get inside there, and you wanna make sure you get all of that trub out. Just keep rinsing it until you know, with nice hot water. It doesn't have to be scalding, just nice hot water in here. Don't put boiling. I don't know what kind of damage you could do, but just clean it super well. The other parts that you're gonna have to clean really well, and I had an issue with this, but I'm not gonna add this to my only issues found. You can if you want. It was the first time I had to take the spigot off. Oh my gosh. It was like He-Man put it on there. It was so tight. I had to get a rubber strap and twist until it popped off. When you take the tap out, you gotta take it apart, clean it. It has one removable part, clean it really well. When you take this piece off, okay, you think you got all this clean, okay? And I can still smell a tiny bit of hop matter or something going on, even though I washed the hell out of it, which tells me it's not clean, okay? This is one of the two places that I worry about, right here. It's got a spring, okay? And if you open that spring and look, oh, hey, look. Like I said, I thought I cleaned it well. There's a tiny bit of trub in there. I gotta clean it again. I gotta clean it again. This is one of the reasons I clean it as much as I can, and then I clean it again just before I use it. I'm looking in here. Actually smells really nice in there. It doesn't have any real odors. The other part is you've got to clean this. This is kind of like a spunding valve. If you put it up to a 5, it maximizes the pressure. As you get lower, it's going to let some of the CO2 release. If you go to the bottom, it's going to let all the liquid and air come through here, which is something you want to do during cleaning. But this piece right here, which is super, super clever in the way they engineered this. I almost want to say the Pinter is over-engineered, but there's no such thing technically unless it defeats the way the system works. But this is the Pinter 3, and the engineering is incredible. I'm an IT engineer. I'm not this type of engineer, but I can respect the engineering behind this. There is some serious brain matter that has been put forth to come up with the solutions for this system. Okay, this little plastic piece that pops out actually comes apart. And if I can remember how, I don't remember it being hard to take apart. Oh, there it is. There it goes. You take this thing apart, you flip it over. Okay, what that does is it pushes on this. That's spring-loaded too, okay? Pushing that spring-loaded in allows the liquid to get around the edges and get the rest of that trub that could be stuck up in there. That's just ingenious. And you know, since I gotta rinse this thing, yeah, I'll take it off. It's not a big deal. Plus, this same area that I take this out of to push that in for cleaning is the same place the hop matter goes in. And when the hop matter goes in, it screws in super tight and it releases some of the air that's in here. Doesn't allow oxygen because this has like a foil breakaway, which is awesome. And it's just very, very, very well thought out. I don't know if most mash and boil systems are that thought out. This thing has a lot of engineering behind it. Just incredible engineering. Very, very impressed. Huge kudos to whoever came up with some of these design parts. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this off because I realize I got a little more cleaning to do, but that is a concern. What are the issues I found? Okay, so I had 2. One was extremely minor, but it's something you should be aware of. I told you I thought I did a really thorough cleaning recently. Well, when I got done, I could hear water in here. I don't have water in here anymore. And I'm like, should I be concerned? So I reached out to Pinter and I said, hey, I hear water inside of this thing. Do I need to be concerned? And they're like, no. It's got a few hollow spots based on where the rubber feet and this rubber piece goes in. Well, I set it on this table, left it here overnight, came back the next morning, and there was a small puddle under here. It was in this little ring that goes around it. There's just enough gap in there to allow some of the water to get in there. And it drained 100%. So there's no more splash. But I was worried. Now, what is the major issue I have? I have one major issue that is under the issues that I found. And that is your last pour, for me, has almost always tasted a little like trub. Trub is the waste of all the dead yeast and all the debris that falls out of it. I've had about a pint almost, and I've had the last 4 ounces. So your mileage may vary, but I will lose, in my mind, about 4 to maybe 16 ounces of beer to that trub, which means that when I'm pouring that last little pint or that last sip that's left in here, it's been sitting on what is sitting at the very bottom that didn't drain out of the back, and I can taste it. So very minor in my opinion, very, very minor, but it's something. So if you really want a negative, that would be my only major negative that I have about the whole system. One of the huge positives I have that I didn't put in here, that I'm just saying it off the top of my head, it gets people exposed to home brewing at a very easy level where they really don't have to learn, but if they want, they can take that next step and learn even more. So I'm gonna leave this whole thing torn apart like that. Love this design. It snaps on. Sometimes it's a little difficult for me to snap it just right, but that's really me lining it up properly. Haven't had a problem. This thing falls off easy. It's more for decoration in my opinion. So if you ever lose this, not a big deal. But I will say too, when you take these things off during fermentation, put them somewhere you won't lose them. That is a concern. That is something I've mentioned before. Kits. Okay, let's talk about kits. I've only done 4 so far. I've done the British Bitter, which was very nice. A little low on the ABV for me, didn't have as much flavor that I prefer in some beers, but I think it came in around 4.7. I have that same issue with commercial bitters. They seem light, they seem very, very mild. They're definitely a first beer of the night. They're not like your second or third if you're gonna have a couple, but it was a good beer. It was a very good beer. It was a great exposure for me to the beers that the Pinter had to offer. And to me, it was a classic British mild or British bitter, very mild, very nice, very drinkable. Didn't get wasted at all. I promise you, didn't get wasted at all. Now, step on up to the raspberry sour. Wasn't a pucker sour, but I don't think most people prefer a pucker sour like my oldest, who is normally here for the beer tastings. But it had a ton of raspberry in it. I mean, insane amount of raspberry. It smelled amazing. It tasted super drinkable, very, very raspberry. There was no loss of raspberry, and it wasn't overly sweet like you would expect where that raspberry was standing out so much. Extremely impressed with that, just extremely. Then I did the Brew Dogs, which I actually have one still right here, a Punk IPA that we're gonna modify. Yeah, that's another thing. You can modify these kits if you don't wanna brew your own beer on it. You can modify your kits. So I did the Hazy Jane. I'm not a hazy fan unless it's mildly hazy, and that was a really good beer, really good beer. Now the Punk IPA, I do not care for the cans of Punk IPA from Brewdog, but the Punk IPA that came in this Pinter kit was amazing, downright amazing. Reminds me of one thing that I failed to tell you, is that is on my concerns, also fermentation temperature. The yeast is a range. If you have a cool bedroom closet, if you have a cool area somewhere in your house, and I don't mean cold, I'm talking like 70 degrees plus or minus, you have no issues. If you're like my dad and you like it to be 80 degrees in your house all the time, your beer may not come out quite as good or as smooth as it should. That's something to be aware of. So, you know, or if you're gonna stick it in a basement that's 40 degrees, it's probably not gonna ferment. So that's just a concern that you need to be aware of. Now, on the kits, this is something that really impressed me, and I knew it went on, but not to the level it's been going on lately. The Pinter is constantly coming out with all kinds of cool new kits, such as, yeah, that's right, Shadow and Cream, which is right here. It's a collectible. It's got 2 pint glasses. They look very small. I measured them. It's exactly 16 ounces. It is a pint glass. And yeah, this thing is heavy too. I mean, it's got some weight to it, and it's got like a hopper. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe it's something special, but yeah, I'll be brewing this next. But yeah, they've got all kinds of limited edition kits. Sometimes the limited editions blow out so fast they get a few more in. Sometimes they don't, and it's something to be aware of. So they're constantly changing, and I'm looking at pictures and videos where there were beers that they had at one time that they don't have right now, which they may or may not bring back. So the limited edition is very cool. You may or may not get to try something that's just the way it is, but they're constantly changing, constantly bringing out something new, so you're never gonna get bored. You could have 1, you could have 2 kits coming. If you really are into this and you really enjoy it, what I would recommend is buy 2, have 1 like this, 1 like that, have 1 fermenting while one's being drank or enjoyed. And then you could be bouncing back and forth about every 2 weeks. Your mileage may vary on how long it takes to ferment, shall we say. And then the other one I mentioned where I said questions answered about the Pinter. I wanted to go into that, okay? Is yes, you can stop the kits at any time. You can restart them. And yes, and this goes back to the kits, that's why I put this here. You can save money on shipping by ordering multiple kits, and the kits are around $20 on average. Now that Irish Stout is a special, it's very heavy. It costs, I think it was like 50 bucks just by itself. But you get a Pinter and 2 kits right to start, and then you could keep getting 2 kits every month, or 3 or 4, and save some money on shipping. And I wouldn't get too many ahead because, you know, they do have a estimated shelf life. But yeah, you could save money if you're really looking to just blow through some kits and have a bunch of fun and enjoy it. You could have 2 of these going at the same time if you have friends and family over. That's about 3 gallons of beer. That's quite a bit of beer. Unless you get a lot of people, then maybe not so much. Can you brew your own beer on this system? Yeah. You could actually brew other people's kits, or you could brew your own beer. Like Brew Demon has stuff. You could put a 2-gallon version in here, or a very watered down 1 gallon. But you could put stuff like that. You could do all grain in 2 kettles in a colander and then move it over here and do your ferment and serve. Something to be aware of is temperature. Make sure the yeast can handle the temperature that you're going to be setting this thing at, because there's no real temperature control. And number 2, make sure that it can do pressure fermentation. I don't know what the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 indicator on the back is, as far as in regards to what the PSI is. You can reach out to Pinter. They might be able to give you that information, or maybe a range on each one. Can you move, somebody asked me this recently, can you move this beer to a standard keg? I'm gonna say yes, yes, and I haven't done it, so your mileage may vary, but I'll tell you how I would do it. I wouldn't touch anything up front. Nope, go straight to the back and have a thread it, you have to match the threads with an opening, having that going to another keg that's already pre-purged, and have it have a ball lock disconnect on it. And then when you push it in with the hose on it, push it in, it's gonna come out fast. So you're gonna have a way to where you pinch that hose, let a little CO2 out, that way you're not getting any oxygen, pop it in, and then make sure the keg you're going to is under pressure. Release it, and just keep easing the pressure off so that the pressure in here is forcing that beer. You may have to put it at an angle, I don't know, your mileage may vary. This is still a theoretical solution to doing it, but me and another gentleman were talking about this, and we both believe it is more than doable. It's just a matter of actually doing it. So that's your call. I got one last item to go over, and let me bring it up here real quick. I'm gonna scoot over so you can see it over here, but it's the Pinter app. That's right, the Pinter app, yeah. This is probably the most well thought out app I've ever seen. I do wish I had an escape to say, just cancel the brew, I've already done it. They do have a way, but you kind of got to go through it a little bit. You can set calendar reminders. If you can't find the beer you bought in here, you can scan the QR code, pop it up, and boom, you're in the Pinter app. It's got purifying section. Then you go to the brewing section, and it walks you through every step. You don't need to know anything, every step. Then it goes into the hopping, if you have a hopping. Not all of them do. Conditioning, where it's gonna sit, cold crash, options on how you condition. I would say too that they have, hey, here's our recommended fermentation and cold crashing or conditioning, and here's the fastest or slowest way of doing it. I'm just gonna stick to the recommended for now. I would not recommend going fast because you may end up with a slightly sweet beer if it doesn't ferment out. I would stick to the recommended. That's just my personal opinion. Now, if you have to go to the longer one because you're gonna be gone for a few days, go for it. Love the calendar reminders, love it. That is awesome. Shows you how to tap, making sure that you're pouring. And when you pour, I have not had over carbonation unless you pull it wide open. You pull it nice and easy, and it comes out beautiful every time. You pull it too far forward, I think Drew did it in one of the videos, he got some extra carbonation. Yeah, and then cleaning. And the cleaning didn't go quite as deep as I would like. That's why I did a cleaning video, and then I did a kind of deep dive cleaning video to kind of go into just how much more you could do. And then they got like a list of seasonal beers. I mean, it is just a very well thought out app. It's got tons and tons of information. You can add more pinters to it. So if you had multiple pinters, you could be brewing multiples at the same time and it would track it for you. They've got promotional stuff in there sometimes reminding you, hey, we got something new coming out, or hey, it just got released. If you're interested, click here. If you're an app person, great. I'm an app person for managing this. I'm not an app person for buying things. I go sit on my computer and bring up a page about 27 inches wide that I can see with or without my glasses, and I can read everything. It's just the way I am. Everybody's different. But yeah, I appreciate you. Like I said, I'll put it, I believe, right over here, the playlist for the Pinter. And yeah, 50 bucks, comes with 2 kits. If you never brew again, it was worth it for the experience. It was fun. It was enjoyable. I have not had one moment with this Pinter that I didn't have fun or enjoy. So, and the beer comes out great. I mean, I have yet to be disappointed. I will say the British bitter was a little light for my taste, but it was not anything far from what it should have been. It was exactly what it should have been. The Punk IPA blew me away. So, and we're gonna do that one again, but we're gonna modify it. So, and check out the Shadows and Cream Stout, the Irish Stout. Yeah, that'll be coming up next. Cheers, appreciate you. Like, subscribe. Yeah. Thank you very much.